The little girl sat alone in the middle of a bright, cheerful playground, surrounded by laughter she could not hear, and a world that had never truly heard her. Morning sunlight spilled across the park in soft gold, warming the swings, the slides, the children running freely without a second thought. But at the far end, beneath a blooming jacaranda tree, sat Aveline Wraith, 8 years old, dressed in a pristine white dress, her small hands folded in her lap, her eyes quietly observing everything and belonging nowhere. Her father, Selim Wraith, was one of the most powerful billionaires in the city. His name commanded respect in boardrooms, his decisions shaped industries, and his presence silenced entire rooms. But here, none of that mattered. Here, he was just a man watching his daughter from a distance, helpless against a loneliness he could not fix with money, power, or influence. If you believe kindness can change even the quietest lives, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Life Spark Stories. Because sometimes, the smallest gestures carry the greatest impact. Aveline had been born deaf. From the moment doctors delivered the news, Selim had turned the world upside down trying to give her everything: specialists, elite schools, private tutors fluent in sign language. Yet despite all his efforts, there was one thing he couldn't buy: connection. Children avoided what they didn't understand. They smiled awkwardly, then drifted away. Invitations never came. Conversations never started. And slowly, invisibly, Aveline had learned to stop trying. She spent her days in silence, drawing in her notebook, creating little worlds where people communicated through colors and expressions instead of sound. It was beautiful, but it was lonely. That morning had been no different. Selim had insisted on bringing her to the park, hoping fresh air might lift her spirit. But as he stood near the gate, watching other children laugh together, he felt that familiar ache tighten in his chest. Then something unexpected happened. Three small figures appeared at the edge of the playground, triplets, identical in face but wildly different in energy. Their names were Soren, Elric, and Mavi Calder. They were dressed in simple clothes, their sneakers worn, their laughter bright and unfiltered. They weren't from wealth. They weren't from privilege, but they carried something far more powerful. They noticed Aveline. Most children would have glanced and moved on, but the triplets didn't. They paused, exchanged a look only siblings could understand, and then, without hesitation, walked straight toward her. Selim tensed instinctively, ready to intervene if things went wrong. He had seen too many moments turn into quiet heartbreak, but this time, something felt different. The three children stopped in front of Aveline. She looked up, startled, her fingers tightening slightly around her notebook. For a second, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then slowly, carefully, Soren raised his hands. He began to sign. The movements were not perfect, not polished, but they were unmistakable. A simple question. Aveline froze. Her eyes widened, disbelief flickering across her face. She stared at his hands, then at his face, then at the other two who eagerly mimicked the same signs they had clearly practiced. Elric's fingers stumbled slightly, Mavi's gestures were exaggerated and clumsy, but all three were trying, truly trying. Aveline's lips parted, but no sound came. Instead, her hands slowly lifted, hesitant at first, as though afraid the moment might shatter. And then she answered. From a distance, Selim felt his heart stop. For the first time in what felt like forever, his daughter was not alone. The four children sat together beneath the tree, their hands moving in an imperfect but beautiful rhythm. They laughed, not with sound but with expressions, with bright eyes and wide smiles, with the kind of joy that didn't need noise to exist. The triplets didn't care that her world was silent. They stepped into it without hesitation. As the morning stretched on, something within Aveline began to shift. The quiet walls she had built so carefully started to crack, letting in something she had long forgotten: hope. Selim walked closer, his chest tight, his vision slightly blurred. He had spent years trying to build bridges for his daughter, yet 3 children with nothing had crossed the distance in seconds. Later, he would learn that the triplets' mother worked at a community center where they had picked up basic sign language. They weren't experts, they weren't fluent, but they had enough to say the words that mattered most. And sometimes that is all it takes. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment, because stories like this remind us that kindness still exists in the simplest forms. Type "kindness wins" in the comments if you believe one small act can change someone's entire world.